One day, 3 strangers came out of the desert, and Abraham invited them in, and Sarah made 3 measures of flour, which is a lot, into bread, and she gave them that and meat to eat, and she gave them good things to drink, because that was the custom where Abraham and Sarah were from. Those 3 men told Abraham that he and Sarah would have a son. And Abraham laughed. And Sarah, who was listening outside the tent, also laughed. They were too old. The 3 strangers went on their way. Do you know what happened? Abraham and Sarah had a son. And they laughed out loud. And so they named him Laughter. And in the Hebrew language, Isaac is the word for laughter. So they called him Isaac. When Isaac grew up, Sarah died. And she was buried in a cave near the oaks of Mamre where they lived. Abraham was lonely. He missed Sarah, but there was still something he had to do. He sent his most trusted helper back to the land of his people to find a wife for Isaac. Abraham's helper stopped for the evening by a well, and a girl named Rebecca helped him to get water to drink. And then she helped him also to give water to his animals. He could see that she was full of courage and very kind. He told her about Abraham and Sarah and God's promise of the great family. And Rebecca decided that she would like to be part of that great family too. And so they went across the desert. Past Shechem and Bethel toward Hebron. Isaac saw them coming, and he rushed out to meet them. Then Isaac and Rebekah were married. Abraham was now very, very old. And he was full of years. And he died. And he was buried beside Sarah in the cave near the trees in Mamre. Then Isaac and Rebekah had children, and their children had children, and their children had children. And on it went until your grandparents had your parents, and your parents had you. Now you are part of that great family, which has become as many as the stars in the sky and grains of sand in the desert. Now I wonder what part of that story you liked best. I wonder what part is most important. I wonder what part of the story is about you, or where you find yourself in the story. I wonder if we could take any parts of this story out and still have everything that we need. I wonder how big this family is now. I wonder what work you would like to get up to do today. So then once the kids have gone on to do their work for the day, you can either immediately after the story show them where it is before they get out their work, or you can wait until you've regathered for the feast, or some of our teachers wait until after the feast when it's time for the blessing as a way to kind of reorganize the kids and get them back together before they are blessed when they leave the classroom. And so starting this week, your classrooms are all going to have bookmarks with a picture that kind of depicts the great family for the kids to be able to remember which story it is, as well as the scripture where they can find it. And so you would take a Bible if you want to designate one to put all of your bookmarks in, that would be great. And then if the kids have a story that they'd like to look up in the Bible, they can do that. And so you'd simply find the passage, and if you're waiting until later or your kids are a little older, you might want to also read it to them. If your kids are a little younger or you're doing it right after they've heard the story, you might just let them know where they can find it if they want to read it again or have it read to them from the Bible. And then they'll also be able to take those bookmarks home and share that with their parents. And then there's also wondering questions for each week on the back. So if they want to read the story with their parents, they can also wonder with them about our story. Good luck this week and have fun.